I did not wear sweats. Double-breasted, no double-breasted. But also, I'd like to thank, wherever it is. Oh. I'd like to thank Coach Griff for giving me this opportunity. And this time, I'm not going to say I'm going to not be here because I don't know. But I'd like to thank Otis Funches, Mr. Velasquez, Mr. Bolden, Ed Schoen for contributing so much to our defensive greatness. And Del O'Brien for just having the sheer pleasure of knowing him. And Al Blower, just for being here. And you guys, so thanks.
Chuck, next year we're going to run a 1-8 defense, so you only have to talk about one guy, okay? I'll fix your wagon. It's a 1-8 next year, Ed. I don't know how you're going to work it out, but work it out. Next guy, I'm going to have him break it up into two sections here. He's going to fill in for Coach Prosser. Coach Prosser is our defensive back coach. We understand that his son got hit by a car this afternoon. We don't know the details of it, but he could not be here tonight. So I'd like to have Coach Schoen come down, introduce the defensive backs that Coach Prosser worked with. And I just want to say a couple things about Coach Schoen that I say it every year. That guy can really
dance.
Figure out some other team's offense. He can't dance a leg. You know, a lot of these other schools, they got these big computers figuring out the other team's offense. You know, what tendency here, what tendency there. 3rd down and 5 on the right hash mark with 32 yards to go. They're going to run this. Well, he does it all in his mind, and I'm telling you, and I really mean it, Ed, I think you're probably the most important part of our ball club because Doug got it. You can sit there in the sideline and they're running a dive. There's the dive. There goes the pass. There's the pass. I bet he can sit there, and I'm serious. He calls probably 90% of the other team's play before they run it. He has a mind like a computer. Very intelligent young man, and I'm proud to say that I coached him at one time. He went on to University of Colorado, played football there. He doesn't brag like Chuck does. He's very humble about it. And it's really been a pleasure to have Ed with us, and I know Ed's going to be back, and Ed, I really appreciate everything you've done for us. Thank you.
I made Chuck promise that he would not get up and say, I love this guy, he's a great player because he reminds me of me. And he did it, I knew he'd do it, and he couldn't help it. He reminds me just of myself. I will say one thing. You know, we talked about what great people all these guys are, and I think you'll notice as they come up, a lot of them are very fashion conscious too. You know, some are really decked out, and and fathers, I think you're really missing the boat. I was around these guys all year, and I realized that these baggy pants are in. And so now when you have that battle of the bulge and you fight it, now I'm putting on a few pounds in the interest of fashion. I got my baggy pants, I'm starting to look like the kids, and I don't have to worry about those diets to get the tight pants anymore. So a couple of the Dykmans and Jay Cannons, as they come up watching, they really look pretty sharp. A couple things, you know, I have a tendency to talk too much too, so I'll keep it short, but I want to thank our seniors. And I know we're going to go on and on about that a little bit later, but it's been a real privilege. And going into, 3 years ago when you guys were going to be sophomores, I think in the history of this school we had about 3 or 4 3-year lettermen since the school began. In this class alone we have 7 people who lettered as sophomore, juniors, and seniors. It's amazing. Middle of the season we kind of sat down and had a little skull session, and I told them, you know, athletically they're probably as good a group as I've ever seen or heard of, the things that they've accomplished up to that point, and now we go to the semifinals again. A lot of them play other sports, but they're great athletes, and they're just really great young men. Great students, leaders, they're involved in ASB. We're yelling at Ms. Scooty all the time for taking them out of our practices because they've got to go be the president of this or the secretary of that or whatever they do. But really tremendous young men and great leaders, and it's just been a real privilege for us to work with them, and we know they're all going to be great successes in the future. I think it's a tribute to your parents, and I think we ought to all give them a hand right now. We lost the Sweetwater game. We all know that. But I'll tell you, you guys will appreciate a lot more as you get older and gray like I am and some other people. Not very many people get the opportunity to take part in a game like that or an event like that. You know, you go down on the field and you look up, and our side is absolutely standing room only. You can't get a seat anywhere. The other side's full. All the newspapers are there. The press is there. You know, two great teams, and we just play our hearts out. And you know, they won. They came up with some big plays, and they beat us, but we played really well. I had some feedback from some schools down there. I'm around school all the time. I was down in the National City area this week and walking through a campus, and the vice principal calls me over and says, Ed, you know, I just want you to know that I know you coach at Mira Mesa. A couple of the kids went to junior high here, and they were back on campus from Sweetwater, some of the Sweetwater players, and they, you know, he asked them about our game or what they thought of Mira Mesa, and to be very, very honest, they thought they were very lucky to win. They said, we're not all that sure the best team won. Now, I think there wouldn't get much argument in this room, but we really have a lot to be proud of, and just to have taken part in to playing a game like that and play the way we do. We don't have to bust players in. We don't go recruit them from anywhere else. They all come right from Mira Mesa, and that's really something to be proud of and a tremendous accomplishment. I'm going to introduce the secondary people first. I work with them a lot. It's too bad Coach Prosser couldn't be here because I know he really wanted to. But this first group of people, you know, they always say, well, they didn't get to play too much, but they were important to our team and so forth. It really is an important part of a team to have people who help you get prepared. They play as much as they can, and it's not that some of them aren't real good players. They are. But you look at that all-league list, and I think we have 10 or 11 or 12 players who make all-league first or second team, and you can sit and name about 5 or 6 who should have made it. You know, we have some outstanding players, and we have some players who are younger now, who are juniors, who have seniors, will probably come up and they'll get a lot of playing time. This first group of guys, we ended up calling at the end of the year Aurelio's Raiders. Every time we get ready to run the other team's offense, we go, Aurelio, get your boys together, get them out here on the lane, and Aurelio get his guys, and they'd be excited. They'd be out to every practice, and they really did a good job. A lot of them are real good players. The leader of the band, who comes over from Kearney every day, and he's going to be back, and really we're looking forward to having Aurelio back, is Aurelio Morales. This next young man is undoubtedly the best dancer in our team. Neil came out last spring, first time I think he ever played football or he ever played in our program, and it's difficult to pick up some things. We had some people returning. He's a junior, he's going to be back, he's tough, and he's got some speed and ability, and as soon as he figures out exactly what he's supposed to do all the time, I think he's going to be in good shape, and that's Neil Brinkerhoff. Neil? This next young man is a senior and kind of in the same situation. It's too bad he wasn't in our program longer. Chris Church has a lot of ability, and I really think could have played a great deal, but to just come in during 2 days and try to step in, and we have a game to play in about 10 days, is a difficult thing. But Chris, really, you have a lot of ability. We enjoyed having you out, and you're a super young man. Chris Church. This next guy, sometimes we'd look up and we may be ahead in the game. He's another one of the people who practice every day, and look up and out in the field is a defensive back that's number 78. I'm going, who in the world is out there? You know, did Naraki jump in there and try to play DB again or something? You know, we didn't know what was going on. I don't know how we got number 78, but it's too bad. Eduardo Bermudez was out every day and did a super job for us, and it's a pleasure to have him on our team. Eduardo Bermudez. This next young man played strong safety on Aurelio's Raiders. He his first year out for football and did a fine job. Again, he just kind of ran into a numbers game. Didn't get to play as much as I'm sure he would want to, but we really enjoyed having him there, and he did a super job in practice. David Powell. Now we get down to the people who really did most of the playing for us. First guy, returning starter from last year. We kept trying to find a place for him because we knew he had good speed. He's a good cover guy, and so we moved him to corner. And then we found out that everybody in the world seemed to have a receiver that was 6'3", and poor old Ernie was crawling up their frame half the time trying to get to him. So we moved him back to strong safety, and he's one of those guys, didn't make all league, and it's just, you know, a real travesty because the guy's a super football player. Made several big plays for us. I think he had 4 or 5 interceptions. His fumble recovery against Monte Vista really put the game away, and it's been a pleasure coaching Ernie Burton. This next young man played corner for us virtually the whole year. Just one of those guys you look at him and you say, hey, this guy's a defensive back. A real good athlete, did not play football in our program until this year. I don't know if he played in Pop Warner or something. And kind of learned as he went and got better and better and better. And by the end of the year was really a fine defensive back. Made a couple of big plays for us. Another intercepted a ball against Sarah. And we were just really happy to have Darren Dennis with us this year. We don't know what we're doing. This next guy is one of a couple kind of GQ guys we have on our team. Started out a little bit slow, wasn't out for spring ball very much, and had a bad back for half the season. Came on real strong at the end, ended up starting for us probably the last 5 or 6 games, and I know he'd tell you that's right when the winning streak started, and he's probably right. Made some big plays for us. The great advantage is he's a junior, so he's got another year coming back, and we're just looking for big things from John Dykeman. The last defensive back started out the year as an outside linebacker. He played outside linebacker for us last year. Midway through the year, when we found out Ernie wasn't quite tall enough to cover some of these guys, we made a couple switches and we asked Alan if he'd go back out and play corner. And I'll tell you, in my mind, he was the best defensive back in our league. He didn't get the recognition that other people got because he wasn't there all year and he didn't have the, you know, the stats and all this publicity baloney that goes on. None of us really did. We didn't get the publicity we were due all year, but Alan Bostic, a couple scouts came in the other day from colleges, say, who's number 5? They watched the Sweetwater game, and I'll tell you, he had a tremendous game against Sweetwater. He can go somewhere and play big time, and I'm talking about UCLA, SC, Notre Dame football. He's 6'2", he's a corner, he can run. His problem is he's got to find his way to the classroom. Had some problems, and to be totally honest, he's probably going to have to go to JC to get the grades because they cannot get him in colleges right now to the level they're going to have to. We don't know that for sure, but I'll tell you, Alan, if you apply yourself, you can go as far as you want to go. Alan Bostic.
I want to give Ed a little bit of break here because he has to go back to the linebackers, and that's another big stack of kids also. I got a couple more young men to introduce, and I think they certainly helped our ball club a tremendous amount this year. I think one made the other one a better player, and it wasn't until about halfway through the year that we started to practice saying, hey, who's that guy carrying the ball? Gosh, I don't believe it. The guy made a tremendous improvement. He went from a kid who I don't think's played any football, any organized tackle football before. He didn't know what body contact was all about the first few weeks. But once he got a little body contact, Instead of being a receiver, meaning taking all the blows, he decided to dish a few out. And when he did that, he became an outstanding football player that made our team a better football team. And I wish he was back for another year, but that's Jerry Rojas. Well, I could be up here as long as Chuck was, just talking about this guy. He's been a starter every game, I think, the last 3 years. He's gained more yards than any other football player in Mira Mesa High's history. And you know, he's about that tall, probably weighs 145 pounds. But you know, I can't remember when we didn't call upon him that he wasn't ready to do it. Super young man, a lot of ability, and I guarantee you, if he was 6 foot tall and weighed 30 pounds more, be every college in the United States that want this guy in this program. But he just isn't 6 feet tall. About 5'8", and we probably lie a little bit there. But we're going to miss him. And he's one fine, superhuman being. And Adrian, if we could flunk you and have you come back next year, I'd do it. But we can't. And I want you to come up here, Adrian Wright, just a super young man. Now we'll let Ed get back to the linebackers.
This next group of guys are the people that really I worked with all year, and I'll tell you, in the years that I've coached, this is the finest bunch of people I've been around. Seen better football players, some of them are the best we've ever had. There's just a lot of different kinds of people, but what a great bunch of people to work with. First one is a guy who, again, one of those people who helped us prepare. He's a junior and he's going to be back. If you could harness Bill Corley's energy and get him here in the right direction, he can be a tremendous football player. Right now he's got to get bigger and stronger, and I'm sure he will do that, but he just is a tremendously enthusiastic person. We look for big things from Bill Corley. Bill? This next young man is just a guy that I really enjoyed. Didn't get a lot of playing time all year, but just the nicest person in the world and a good football player. Every time he got in a game, he did a super job. Played behind a couple good people, but played inside and played outside, and really enjoyed having Steve Laureano with us. Steve? This is one of our other gentlemen's quarterly models, Jake. If you could, here's another guy, if you could hear his enthusiasm. He wasn't all that big, probably never lifted a weight in his life. Probably didn't know I didn't know that, but I know that, Jake. Not that fast, not that big, obviously not that smart. But I tell you, when the game started, or when we went out before a ball game, he is just a game player. The guy gets so doggone excited and fired up and screaming and yelling. And sometimes right before the game started, I call him over and go, Jake, would you just relax? And he'd be, I am relaxed, I am. And you think I'm kidding, but ask some of these guys, they've got a little ugly sometimes. Great hitter, tough as the day is long, and John J. Cannon is one of those guys that a coach's dream. Plays 3 times as good probably as he should and makes you look like a great coach. John J. Cannon. This next young man, it took him a while to get involved in our program. He evidently had some problems in JV last year. Some people got mad at him, or he thought they were mad at him. And we heard kind of as the world turns about Bobby Vigil half the year. Oh, why isn't Bobby here? Well, he thinks coach doesn't like him because this coach said this about him and all that. I never even heard any of this stuff. I just wish the guy would show up. I didn't even know what he looked like until halfway through 2 of these. I'd heard his name for 2 years. Very intelligent, smart football player. The guy can play, and if we can get him geared in, get him involved in our program, get him lifting weights and doing things, he's going to be one of the cornerstones of our defense next year, Bobby Vigil. Here's another guy, kind of in the same boat, not really. Chad had some personal problems and did some things right before football season started that kind of hurt things. He wasn't out for 2 days as early as he should have been, but nothing he could do about that. And Chad Smith has a tremendous amount of ability. He's going to be a really fine player for us next year. We'll get him on the weights and we'll get him involved, and we're going to find a spot for him, and I predict Chad Smith will be an all-league football player next year. Chad Smith. This next young man only played varsity for 1 year. He was ineligible last year. He had some problems with grades as a junior and couldn't play. And it was unfortunate because we were really kind of counting on him last year to come in and fill one of those spots at linebacker. Worked hard. He learned his lesson, worked hard in the classroom, and got eligible and came out this year ready to go. David Payne, I think, started every game for us. Asked him to do a couple different things. He had to play in a down position sometimes. He had to play up. He had to kind of learn 2 different positions, and he did a real fine job of it. Made a big interception for us against Sarah that put that game away, and we're going to really miss him. I wish we had him for 1 year, but David Payne. This next guy is kind of my boy, I guess. We even both had the same first name, Coach. I think most of your players know what I'm talking about. Lonnie wasn't afraid to let people know what they were supposed to be doing most of the time. But I'll tell you, it really is a great thing to have somebody on the field who does know what everybody's supposed to do. We don't like it when he questions our opinion sometimes, but you know, we're all entitled to our opinion. We moved Lonnie all over the place. Great athlete. Wish he could have been out for spring ball last year. I guess there were some problems, I don't know why, but we had a hard time at the beginning trying to find a place for him to play. We put him at free safety, moved him to strong safety, and he ended up at linebacker. And probably that was my stupidity of moving him all over the place, or if we would have left him in one place, it would have been better. But he had a tremendous year once we got him at linebacker. Played real well in the other positions, too. Has been our kind of big play guy. I think in his career, he probably scored 5 or 6 touchdowns on fumble recoveries and interceptions. Another guy who had a super game against Sweetwater, a real standout in that game. 2-time All-League. Wouldn't be surprised to see him make an All-CIF team. I really think he has a future in football. That's Lonnie Miles. This next young man was kind of our franchise. Played every minute on offense, every minute on defense. Never heard he played the last game with cracked ribs. You hear those stories all the time, but he did. A tremendous blocking fullback, tremendous running fullback, great linebacker, good speed, and just one of those guys as a football player. You can't explain it. People come in and the college scouts go, how about this guy? Hey, you got to take him. I mean, you need people on your team like Jason Allen to win. He's been first team All-League 2 times in a row. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see him make All-CIF. And I'll tell you, in my personal opinion, the best football player ever to play at Mira Mesa High School, Jason Allen. been a super year. I've appreciated and enjoyed every moment of it. I want to thank somebody that always gets kind of past us and we never get a chance to say thank you, but all you parents know how involved Coach Griffith's been in everything that's gone on. He spends a lot of time telling everybody else what a great job they're doing, but boy, every pancake breakfast, every car wash, everything that anybody had, this guy's there. We wouldn't have the lights in our field if it wasn't for him. He's going to probably end up single-handedly raising all the money for it. We have a lot of kind of volatile personalities in our group, and he keeps us all kind of in tow. And after every game, you know, we kind of like to go out and have a 7-Up together and talk about the game. Griff can't do it because he's over chaperoning the dance or doing something that is involved with you people, you young men, and I'll tell you, I appreciate working for him, and I just want to publicly thank Brad Griffith.
All right, don't leave yet, girls. This is your turn. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. Yeah, possible. These are the young ladies I want to honor now, and a couple of the young men. I hope I got your letters and everything squared away. I'll probably foul something up. But first off, I want to introduce the guy that's been out with us 2 years. He is a non-student at our school, and he's there every day. You tell a guy to go do something, takes off, and he does it. He comes back, and you yell at him to go do something else, he does it. And I tell you, without the guy, our program wouldn't be what it is today. And I really appreciate him coming out on his own time, his own free will, and helping us out, and that's Dale West. Come on up, Dale. Another gentleman out with us this year, I know that if he had his choice, he wouldn't be a manager. He wants to be a player. 2 years ago, he came up to me and, Coach, I want to play football. Well, you know, you don't really want to tell the guy, but, well, the doctor says you can play football, you can play football. Just let me know. Well, I tell you, for the first couple of weeks of practice, I had to call the doctor every day trying to get a hold of the guy. He wanted to play that bad. And we talked about Kumo, you know, big hearts. I get a little emotional here. Kelly, come on up. A new manager out here with us this year, and I promised, I swore up and down I wouldn't embarrass him this year. But I won't do it, girls. She came out with us, I'd say probably about the third week into the season, and a big help to us. And I just want to say one thing, guys. Every one of these flowers that you're getting here tonight, they bought. Nobody gave them a penny. Nobody gave them a thing. They did this on their own free will. So not too often that's going to happen from a group of managers who you guys give a little ration to once in a while besides the coaches. But they feel that way about you guys. So I hope afterwards somebody shows appreciation. But I'd like Terry, come on out and get your letter. our other new manager this year, and I'm not sure, Brenda, are you a junior or senior? Senior? Oh, she's an old lady now. But she was up since the first day of two-a-days. Tremendous job for us. I think probably attendance-wise, she was there more than any of them. And just a super, super young lady, and that's Brenda Blondin. Our senior manager, I guess you'd say, this is her second year. Boss, I'm not supposed to give her a letter, but you didn't see it. I had one hid in my drawer. Okay? But, yeah, Gloria, why don't you come on out? Two-year manager, kind of our head manager, Laura Green. I'll pronounce your name right in about 10 years, okay? And our statistician, who at every game did a good job of keeping the stats. And now we're going to have to find one next year, and we're going to miss her. If she wants to come back and help out, fine, I hope she does. Because I hate to have to bring in a new statistician. But I really appreciate her being out there, and she was a tremendous help, and that was Michelle Liao. Now, we want to give out some special awards. And if Dale, if you guys could maybe pass it over here to me. I got to apologize. Every year I make up some helmets. We take these old helmets that are cracked or something, we cut them in two. I put about 30 coats of paint on them and put them on these boards. Well, this year I was really going to be cool. I've got some different glue. Well, the dang glue's no good. So if I give you a helmet and it slips down, just take it home and put some super glue on it, because super glue works. Airplane glue doesn't work worth a darn. So use super glue, guys. But this is kind of some special awards. Matter of fact, I'd like to have all the coaches come down, if they would, down here in front, so we can present these awards. These are awards presented to what we call our co-captain. It starts out every year as a co-captain, but the voting is always so close, we end up with tri-captains. The kids make the vote. We have no say whatsoever in the vote. We have one trophy where we as coaches, we give a coach's award, and we take that opportunity to show what we think of a person. Gentlemen, we'd like to give every one of you an award. But we just financially can't do it. If we didn't have to pay for the lights, we'd have a trophy that high or from the ground. But to start off with, I want to have one of our tri-captains on defense. We're going to present that award. And Mr. Velasquez, I'd like to have you come down also and shake this guy's hand, because this is probably one of the guys that our fellow teammates voted that, you know, if the game's on the line, when things got tough, we kind of counted on this guy to do the job. And our first one, I want Coach Schoen to come out and introduce this guy, because he is one of Coach Schoen's ball players, but this is one of our tri-captains on defense.
I talked about him before, but again, he's really just a super young man, great student and so forth, and really was the fastest guy on our team. We had a runoff and he won. We call him White Lightning and Lonnie Miles.
This next person is a tri-captain on D. And here, Pete, your helmet's loose. Get some super glue. Pete, sit down. I'm not supposed to say Pete. He's supposed to introduce you. But one of our tri-captains on defense. And Coach Bradford's going to say a couple more nice things about you. I fouled up Chuck. So I told my kids about Santa Claus. No big deal.
That's right. Like I said, Pete is one of the tri-captains. Pete Patazzo. Hey, that guy's a leader, isn't he?
You don't get that one, Chuck. You don't get that one. Dale, I want you to come over here and present this gentleman with a Tri-Captain Award for offense.
This guy should have got it on both squads because he was the cement pillar in the line on both offense and defense. And a great guy to have, and I hope he goes a long way. Real leader, Mark Naraki.
Coach Schoen gets another award for Tri-Captain on defense.
Our only returning starter in the defensive secondary and had a super year, a lot of big interceptions, Ernie Burton.
Go down over here and shake every one of these guys' hands. Ernie's out for wrestling, and he was reading a lot of directions from the ceiling yesterday. Another guy here talked about all Eastern League 2 years in a row, all Sentinel newspaper. If he isn't on the LCIF team, it's a crime. An outstanding individual, we said before, it's going to be difficult to replace him. That's Rick Joseph. I think yours still has some glue on it, right? Well, we'll let Mr. O'Brien introduce this gentleman, Tri-Captain on offense.
Couldn't have been a nicer guy. I had this kid for 3 years, and you just, when you spend that much time coaching with a kid, you really start to love him, and I just, like I said, he was the biggest pain. He had a real special way of dealing with the kids, and that was hitting them. And, if somebody wasn't doing something right on offense, he would cuss at them and grab their helmets and nail them. But everybody had a lot of respect for him because they knew he was an athlete. And he proved on the field, and a couple players gave him the utmost respect, telling him he was the toughest dude they went against, and that's what you like to hear. And I hope he goes a long way. He's got the grades, and Todd Hinches.
Good job, son. Get some super glue, guy. We're paying you back for everything you ever did to us. I'm going to have Ed come up. Next guy is the one award as coaches we give out for special guy. It probably deserved more recognition than he got. And guy's been in the program a couple of years. And Coach is going to say some more great things about it.
We had kind of a love-hate relationship, I think, over a couple of years. Like I say, he played several different positions and really found a home at the corner. We felt real strongly that he didn't get the recognition that he deserved all year long from anybody. And look for his name in the paper because he's going somewhere, Alan Bostic.
We like to try to emphasize scholastic achievement at our school. And I think that started last year when we had a few guys ineligible for the last game. I said, we got to do something to make these guys want to study a little harder. Chuck, this is too strong, man. You tell me how strong you are. Will you open it? And every year from now on, we give out a perpetual trophy for the player on our football team with the highest grade point average. We will give him a trophy here tonight. He will also have a trophy very similar to this, and it will be put into our trophy case at school, and it'll be there from now to whenever, and every year we'll add a new name. And this year, the young man to win the scholarship award with the highest grade point average, and you know, you almost hate to get him this because you figure he might blackmail because he gets up here, camera, you know, this and that, but that's Pete Pataxa. Pete, you get your chance later, sit down. You're not going to have anything on us right away. You know something, let me give out one more award. Let me get a little mustard on it, guy, you can eat it. One more award, and I just realized I should have been drawing tickets all this time. But after our next award, which is the Coca-Cola Award for Most Valuable Player, we'll have a little raffle. I'll say a couple words, and then I guess we got some of you guys are going to get up here and get even with us. And Pete, you're not going to be up here. And then I'll have a few closing remarks, and we'll get out of here. But a gentleman here tonight from Coca-Cola, Jeff Doyle. This is an award given out every year by Coca-Cola for our most valuable player, and I'm sure he's heard a lot of fine things about this guy already tonight, but he's here to present the Coca-Cola Award as our most valuable player. Jeff Doyle.
I don't know if I need super glue for this or not. This is a beautiful award, as you can see. But first of all, I used to play high school football, and I never realized how much time and effort that the ladies put into the work that they do for the football players. I would like to thank Mary Ann and all the ladies over there for all the work that they put into it. Now, I would personally like to present this award on behalf of Coca-Cola. This is the most prestigious award that Coca-Cola can offer. This award is passed through the hands of not only good athletes, but great athletes that are now performing in the NFL. Such players as Brian Sipe, Marcus Allen, David Turner, Mark Malone from El Cajon High School. And this year's award goes to Jason Adelman.
Okay, red ticket. I don't know what we're giving away, but we're going to give something away. Pick up your ticket. I'm going to read only the last three numbers. 009. Who has 009? All right, Edward, come on up. What do we got? We got a football here for you, Edward. There you go, Edward. And I want to say one thing here again. Mrs. Loriano, she went around to some of the merchants, hustled up these prizes for you guys. So we want to thank Mrs. Loriano. All right, I want to pick out now a yellow ticket. And the last three numbers, where's the prize? Where's the prize? The last three numbers is 048. 048. But come on up, Brenda. what it is, Brenda, but it's something. Thank you. All right, the red one. Last three numbers. Boy, I know I need glasses now. 835. 835. No, I'm quitting. No, just fixed. I want to read yours. Give me one of those girl prizes. We always have a joke. I don't know if your parents heard about it, but we do a lot of kidding with Mr. Dykeman. Okay? We always question his manhood. Red, is this a girl present? All right, girl present. But you didn't give him a girl present for real. Those earrings? He doesn't need those. Oh, he does wear earrings around school, doesn't he? All right, yellow ticket. How about 042? Yellow ticket. Ah, there we have a winner. We won't let her tell Neil she won something here tonight. Very good, thank you. All right, let's go with another red ticket. The number is 970. 970. There, Mr. Wilson. All right, let's go with the yellow ticket. 041. Yellow tickets are for the ladies there, Jose, so don't be standing up. And that's the wrong one. All right, one more red one, and that'll be it. 014. 014. All right. Better go Anthemo. All right, now I guess I got to call up Pete Patazzo. That's what my notes tell me. Pete, just remember, you're still going to get a grade from one of us guys, okay?
I'm nervous because I'm first. And they made me do this. You want to go first?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Public.
On behalf of the Mira Mesa Booster Club, we want to present Coach Griffith with this other football.
Come on, guys. Let's go.
Okay. Now, Chuck and my mom have a certain understanding. And to emphasize how well Chuck is dressed tonight, when Chuck came in, my mom did not recognize him. I was going to come up here and say a lot of derogatory things about Chuck, but I think Mr. Bradford deserves better than that. I've been here a long time. This is my third year, and I can say that I was fortunate enough to have Chuck Bradford as my coach all 3 years. Now, I know he did not believe I could play linebacker the first year, but then he came over to defensive line with me, too. And the second, or my junior year, I guess you could say the defensive line was not that great because he took 2 former tight ends and a wannabe linebacker and made them play defensive line. Now, I guess you have to say, I believe this strongly, that the defensive line was the strongest part of our defense this year, and I think that's a tribute to Chuck. Now, some people say, coaches don't make great players, players make great coaches. Now, in Dell's case, that is true, but in Chuck's, he's the exception. And Chuck took us, we were orphans, and he turned us into, I guess you could say, a pretty effective unit. And we have this plaque in honor of Chuck, and it says, Chuck Bradford, thanks Dad, your children, D-Line 1984.
Okay, this next guy we'd like to thank, not guy, but gentleman, is one of the coaches that we really admire a lot. And sometimes most of us linebackers think of him as our dad. And he helps everybody out with attitudes and also just helps a great deal. And before I say his name, I'll let Lonnie say a few words about him.
It's pretty funny every time someone gets up here, they tell a little story, you know. They go through a little spiel, and I'll tell a little story. At the beginning of the year, I injured my neck, and Coach Schoen, I said his name, sorry. Coach Schoen pulled me aside and told me, kind of got me motivated again. Not that I wasn't motivated, kind of told me that you need to get out there and put in a little more effort. And I'd just like to thank him personally and from the whole team. He's the best coach I've ever seen or ever had the pleasure to work with. And he knows football like no one else I've ever seen. That's Coach Schoen. And we're introducing Kevin. Hancock. What?
Well, we just wanted to, on behalf of all the wide receivers and tight ends, have an award for a man. He's kind of old. A lot of guys didn't think, that, he'd know a whole lot, but he did. He showed us what he knew, tried to help us out as much as he could. We'd like to present him with this award. Al Blower.
I have to say a few words about my illustrious coach, O'Brien. Now, all these other guys have said good things about their coaches, right? Like they're the greatest they've ever seen and everything. But O'Brien is the only one I know who has taken nothing and turned it into something. Last year when Robbie left and Bill left and everybody else left, all he had left was me and Gilbert. And unfortunately, Gilbert moved. And he took what we had left, Gary, turned him into one of the mean fighting machine people that he is. I don't know how he did it or why, but he turned us all into an offensive line. Admittedly, in the first couple of games, we didn't do that well, and people like Payne couldn't go on the right count, but we all lived through it. I think at the end, we became pretty good, and we owe it all to Dale O'Brien.
That's a helmet. I'd like to just mention the two coaches that couldn't make it tonight. Coach Prosser, Griff mentioned earlier his problem with his son. It's unfortunate that he couldn't make it with us tonight. We have a special plaque for him also, and Coach Wadsworth, who is in Wyoming skiing. Okay, it is tough. This next fossil, I think, has been a major instrument in every player's life in this room right now. And I think he deserves all the credit to our success. There isn't a player in here who can say that this coach hasn't helped in any other way besides football. He's a great human being himself, and he has a great way to deal with people, and it's Brad Griffith.
Okay, now, the players know that I am kind of weird and I like to put on this little yellow and blue polka dot mask and I become Marauder Man. Now, Mr. Velasquez would like to start a tradition and I am leaving him my mask, my spirit flag, and my cape. And come springtime, he has to choose the next senior football player to carry on the tradition of Marauder Man.
Let's give it to Payne.
I want to wrap this up this evening. I think I left my notes somewhere over here. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. But I just want to say one thing for you gentlemen that's leaving here tonight, that I know, speaking for the other coaches, we're going to definitely miss you guys a great deal, not only because you're fine football players, but because you're fine young men. I think you're going to go out into the world and be successful for the fact that you've had the experience here at Mira Mesa High of working together with another fine group of men. When we have a little bit of adversity, we all seem to hang in there together and work a little bit harder, and we overcome any problems we have. You know, we've gone from a team with good potential, whatever that means, potential, to a team with great effectiveness. 4 years ago, people said, hey, Mira Mesa, they got great potential, but we wasn't real effective. We ended up about 4-4, 4-4-1, something like that. The following year, when a lot of you seniors were juniors, we became an effective football team. And we became an effective football team because you guys had a different, I think, self-image of yourself. You started thinking that you could do it. You set goals that you could do it. And you worked hard at trying to do it. I know that many of you guys spent many long, hard hours in the weight room. And there's many factors that made us a fine football team this year. You know, I could sit here and talk about Van Wagoner. He's a guy that comes to mind. I remember last year down at Balboa Park, he was sitting right over there, and I put out a challenge to him, saying, Van, if you work hard, you will make us an effective football team next year. He worked hard. He was in that weight room 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, because he wanted to become an effective football player. He did not want to become a football player with a lot of potential. He wanted to be effective on the field. And Al talked about him. Not very tall, doesn't weigh very much, not very fast, but you know, he's the best tight end we've ever had at our school. And we've had guys, 6'4", 200 plus pounds, who couldn't block half as well as this guy who might weigh 170. But he wanted to be a good football team. He wanted to go from a kid with potential. He wanted to go and become an effective person. He was not happy saying, I'm okay the way I am. He set a goal for himself and he tried to improve. And he did improve. And you know, there's other guys sitting out there. I'm going to throw a challenge out to you. A couple of you guys, you don't want to be involved with these junior varsity football players that are coming up because you played a year of varsity football. when I'm out there running you up and down the steps, when I'm out there making you do push-ups, when I'm out there trying to improve your speed, you want to hide out from me. I'm going to put a challenge out to some of you guys today, and you know who I'm talking about. And don't pat somebody in the shoulder because the guy doing the patting is guilty as the other guy. That if we're going to be an effective football team next year, if you guys are going to be an effective football player, you're going to have to work at it, gentlemen. You don't work at it by talking about it, thinking about it. You do it by doing it. How many times can you say in your life that I did it, I accomplished my goal, I did what I wanted to do, I was successful? You became a person who was or had potential to an effective person. And I think if we're going to be successful next year, you people are going to have to come through for us. I'm putting out the challenge for you guys right now. But you got to work at it, because it's not only going to be you guys there, you're going to have all these seniors now. They're going to come back next year and say, Coach, they weren't as good as us. What's the matter, Coach? But these seniors put in the time, they put in the sweat in the weight room. And you're going to have to do it if you want to be effective. And I applaud you, seniors. You guys put hours and hours and hours in that weight room because you wanted to go from being a potentially good team to an effectively good team, and you were. Coach Schoen alluded to the fact that, you know, Sweetwater beat us. We have nothing to be ashamed about. And I know you people in this room agree with me that I don't think the best team won, and I really don't. And I know you don't. A lot of parents don't. One of these days, we're going to get in that last game or semifinal game, we're going to have all the cards. And then I pity the poor team that's in front of us. But that team will be filled with guys who worked hard in the weight room and who wanted to be better football players. They set high aspirations for themselves, high goals. They wanted to be successful. And I tell you, you talk to some of these seniors, and that's what they wanted. And we went from a potentially good team to a very effective team because they worked at it. And I want to thank you, seniors, here again. You're a great, great group of young men, and I'd give anything in the world to have you guys back next year. But you guys are going to go on to become effective college students, effective people in the workforce, because you know the potential doesn't get it done. You got to work hard and be effective, and you will in whatever you do. Every year I like to wrap it up. You know, having the young men and women out there thank their parents. You know, this past year, you don't realize it, started off kind of tough. We lost one of the young men's father. We lost a couple of young men's mothers. We lost a football player, could be sitting out here with us tonight. A lot of you people out there don't realize it, but some of these young men have lost people that they love very much in their family. And when you have the opportunity, guys, because you're not always going to have it, and I want you to do it, you guys get up when we're finished here, put your hand out to Dad, thank Dad. Put your arm around your mother and give her a kiss, because if it wasn't for Mom and Dad, you wouldn't be here tonight. See you next year, guys.